Hello all, I welcome you to the Shanthalakshmiias Academy. In today's session, we would be discussing about the caste census. So the caste census has appeared frequently in the news in the backdrop of Bihar caste survey. So in this session, we would be discussing about Bihar caste survey and its findings and the procedure adopted in Bihar caste survey. And then we would be looking into the differences between census, and caste-based survey. Then we would be discussing in detail about census and socio-economic caste census 2011. Then significance of Bihar caste survey, significance of caste census, and arguments against caste census. In the later part of the video, we will be looking into the prelims and mains practice question. So the Bihar government has released the findings of the caste survey. So in this caste survey, they have recorded the economic status of each caste. So this caste survey will also provide us the insights about caste and religion-based population composition in Bihar. The key takeaways are that 27.13% of the population belong to other backward class, 36% of the population belong to extremely backward class, 19.65% of the population belongs to scheduled caste, and 1.68% of the population belong to the scheduled tribe, 15.52% of the population belong to unreserved category. So if we look into this, the other backward classes and extremely backward class, they together constitute 63% of the population. And this tabular format shows that the proportion of the population percentage belongs to each religion. So the caste survey was carried out in two phases. In the first phase, they have counted and recorded the number of households in the Bihar, and the enumerators were given a set of 17 questions which were to be mandatorily answered by the respondent. In the second phase, they have collected the data from the people living in the households about their caste, subcaste, socio-economic conditions. However, filling the Aadhaar number, caste certificate number, ration card number of the head of the family is not mandatory. So initially, the Bihar caste survey has faced the legal challenges on two grounds. That is, violation of right to privacy under Article 21 of the Constitution. The petitioners argued that the right to privacy is infringed due to the questions concerning their religion, caste, and monthly income. So in this regard, the Patna High Court has referred to Puttuswamy case judgment, where that restrictions on fundamental rights can be imposed in state legitimate interests if they are in proportion and reasonable. And the second ground on which the caste survey was challenged was the state competency to do this particular exercise. So under 7th schedule of the Constitution, census comes under the union list. So under Article 246, it clearly mentions that the Parliament has the power to make law on any subject that was present under the union list of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. So it claimed that the petitioners argued that only union government could conduct a census, not the state government. So for this, the Bihar government has countered that under entry 45 of the concurrent list, the state is allowed to collect data to collect statistics for social and economic planning. So the Patna High Court has accepted the Bihar government's assurance that it was conducting the survey, not a census, and it has the Bihar government has also assured that they have a strong security measures and there was no risk of data leakage. So Patna High Court has upheld the legality of the Bihar caste survey. Next, we will be looking into the differences between census, caste census, and caste survey. Under census, it is conducted by the government to collect the data on population, demographics, and socio-economic conditions. If I put it simply, that it would systematically collect the data on various parameters related to population. It covers all the individuals residing in the country. It comes under the census comes under the union list, whereas the caste census, it focuses on collecting data related to caste demographics. The caste census comes under the union list as well. Whereas caste survey, the caste survey is different from census because this in survey we would typically collect data from a smaller sample size, and here we would be collecting about the intended and general perceptions of the people. And it was conducted by the state to study the socio-economic status of different castes and to identify the areas to bring out efficient policies. And other major differences were the census was conducted under the Census Act 1948. Remember, the census was conducted under Census Act 1948, whereas socio-economic caste census doesn't have any statutory backup. So that's why it is not being conducted periodically. Whereas caste survey, it was also not conducted under any special act. Coming to confidentiality of the data, the individual data is kept confidential under census, whereas in socio-economic caste census, the personal information is opened for use by the government departments for benefits allocation to the households. Whereas in caste survey, the data will be used by the state government to bring out welfare schemes to the beneficiaries. And the census was conducted every 10 years. The last census that was conducted is in 2011, that is 15th census. However, 2021 census was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The last socio-economic caste census was conducted in 2011. In fact, this is the first socio-economic caste census that was conducted after independence. And coming to the historical background of the census, that census was not a new concept that was introduced during the British period, but the census has its roots even in ancient period of India. For example, that census has been taken regularly even during the Mauryan administration. Even Kautilya has mentioned about the importance of the census in its Ardhashastra. During British period, the first non-synchronous census was conducted in the year 1872 during the rule of Governor-General Lord Mayo. Whereas the first synchronous census, which was conducted systematically, was during the year 1881. It was conducted by W.C. Plowden, then Census Commissioner of India. After that, since then, the census have been undertaken for every 10 years. The nodal ministry for this is Ministry of Home Affairs. It is conducted by the Office of Registrar General and Census Commissioner, which is under the Ministry of Home Affairs. And another important thing is that after independence, every census that was conducted had the data about scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. I mean that we have the data about the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, but we do not have the data about other caste since independence. So when was the last caste census that was conducted in India? The last caste census was conducted in the year 1931, and this data was made publicly available by the British government of that day. But post 1951, the decision to collect data stopped. I mean, they have stopped collecting the caste data because citing the reasons that to move away from the caste rigidities that were present in the society and to promote national unity. However, with the change in social and political dynamics, there emerged a need for the collection of caste data. So in this regard, in the year 1979, the Mandal Commission was appointed to look into to identify the socially and economically backward classes to determine their backwardness. So the Mandal Commission has estimated the population of OBCs to be a 52%, and it has recommended 27% of reservation for jobs to socially and economically backward classes. Now, coming to socioeconomic caste census of 2011, it collects the data about socioeconomic status of various communities. So this data would help the government for mapping inequalities in the society and to bring out targeted policies. Socio-economic caste census 2011 was commenced under the Ministry of Rural Development. Under this socio-economic caste census, we have three census components such as census in rural area, which was conducted under the administrative jurisdiction of Ministry of Rural Development, whereas census in urban areas is under the administrative jurisdiction of Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Elevation, whereas the caste census is under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs, and it was conducted by the Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India. And this socio-economic caste census was also the first paperless census that was conducted in India using electronic devices. The census in rural areas, the census in urban areas data was made available to the public, but the caste census was not made public due to the concerns such as poor data quality and errors in data collection and the difficulty in categorization of the caste data. Now, coming to the significance of the Bihar caste survey, it has reopened the debate about increasing the OBC quota beyond 27% in proportion to their population. It has also reopened the debate about the reservation cap, that is 50% reservation ceiling that was upheld in Indra Savane and Union of India case. The findings of the Bihar caste survey would also help us in fulfilling our constitutional obligations under Article 16 of the Constitution, where the state ensures equality of the opportunity to SCs, STs, and socially economically backward classes, and also to achieve the objectives under DPSPs. Next, it would help us in the realization of Sarvodaya, where to develop targeted measures to reduce the inequality in the state and to promote equity and social justice in the long term. Next, the significance of caste census. So, as we all know that the caste discrimination is still prevalent in the society. So, the data from the caste census would help us to identify the disadvantaged sections of the society and will help us to address the social inequalities in the society and to bring out the targeted policies to uplift the marginalized sections. And the second significance is that it helps us to ensure the equitable distributions of the resources, because with the caste census data, we get insights about the socio-economic conditions of the people and the needs of different categories. And the caste census data would help us to monitor the effectiveness of affirmative action policies. Without the caste census data, it was difficult to evaluate the affirmative action policies. So that this data would help us to make an informed decisions. The caste census would also provide us a complete picture of the Indian society, because it would provide us the data about the diversity of the population and the dynamics of Indian society. It helps us in fulfilling the constitutional mandate under Article 340, which talks about the appointment of the commission to investigate the conditions of socially and educationally backward classes. But how can any commission supposed to investigate without any accurate data, right? So here is where the relevance of caste census data comes in picture. Coming to the arguments against the caste census, the opponents of the caste census argued that this caste census data would reinforce the caste system in the society. And the other major argument is that it is difficult to define caste, because defining caste is a very complex issue because we have thousands of castes and subcastes in India. So defining them and categorizing them would definitely not an easy task. The caste census data would further deepen the social divisions in the society. While collecting the caste census data, there is a high chances of errors and administrative excesses. The caste-based census would also further promote the caste-based political mobilization, and that is vote bank politics based on caste, and it may promote strong sentiments for or against the reservations. So we have discussed about the significance and arguments against the caste census. Now we would be looking into the practice prelims question. With reference to census, consider the following statements. The first statement says that socio-economic caste census and decadal census were both started by Lord Ripon in India. The second statement says that decadal census falls under the Census Act of 1948. Third statement says that individual data is open for use by the government departments. And the fourth statement says that first synchronous census was conducted in India in 1872. How many of the statements given above are the correct? Option A, only one. Option B, only two. Option C, only three. And option D, all of the above. So the correct answer will be provided in the comment section. Coming to the mains practice question, discuss the significance and challenges associated with conducting a caste census in India and also suggest measures to ensure social justice. So the PDF of this topic is available in our Telegram channel. The link will be provided in the description box. I hope this session was helpful. Thank you.